Test, test. Morning, everybody. If everybody would take a seat, and we'll start our meeting. Yeah, close that off. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the annual general meeting of the Canadian Gelbvieh Association. If I could remind everybody to sign on the sign-in sheet so we have a record of attendance. Let's start this meeting with the motion to approve the agenda. Olivia, can we have a seconder? Cody? Okay, then we'll do the introduction of the board of directors here. At the far end there we have Neil Overby, who stepped in temporary, and hopefully will let his name stand. And then we have Ryan Carey, we have Braylon Blake, we have Vicky Horn, we have Duncan Pearson, and to my left here is Sarah, our CEO, and my name is Eddie Marsman. Next on the agenda, approval of the minutes from the July 26, 2025 AGM in Swift Current. Can we have a motion to approve those minutes? Aaron, seconder? Olivia, thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And then we'll move on to old business arising from the minutes. Where were we? API and TI indexes, how to do the top 5% of Gelbvieh bulls compared to the top 5% of Simmental bulls. The CGA is unable to access this data to do the comparison. IGS discourages comparing the breeds and therefore would not release the numbers. Brainstorming session follow-up incentives. Number 1, podcast. Canadian Gelbvieh Connection started. All junior podcasts were published as season 1. The podcast channel continues and publishes episodes monthly. 2, focus on promoting the maternal. Co-op ads supported by articles focusing on maternal strength, bringing success to cattle operations. 3, discussion with AI techs, semen companies regarding Gelbvieh semen. Sarah had a conversation with an AI tech and a representative to CMAX and GenX. He said there wasn't a demand for Gelbvieh semen. Sarah explained that there have been a number of calls made to the association. He wanted the producers referred to him, but the problem is he will just sell them into another breed. We as a breed don't have many AI sires qualified for semen sale. We also don't have very many breeders willing to sell small quantities. Sometimes it takes a few straws for a producer to know they want to invest in something that would result in a larger purchase in the future. 4, Sarah has been in discussion with Rod Wendorf and Windy Ridge Carcass Ultrasound to set up some ultrasound runs late next winter, early spring for members who are interested. Does anybody want to have a discussion on these points? Okay, then we'll move on with my president's report. Hello everyone, welcome to the CGA AGM 2026 edition. A big thank you to the Canadian Junior Gelbvieh Association for once again accommodating us to have our annual general meeting in conjunction with the Canadian Junior Gelbvieh Show. It's very efficient, like hitting two birds with one stone. We get to enjoy seeing what the juniors put in front of us, and since most of the parents will be here, there will be decent attendance for the meeting. As you all know, this is my last AGM as your president. It has been a pleasure and a privilege to serve on the CGA board these last 6 years and the last 3 years as your president. As I mentioned in the summer edition of the Gelbvieh Guide, it is time for some new people and new, fresh ideas to take over. I believe that having a board of directors comprised of breeders from different provinces and different perspectives is important to be effective as a board for a breed association. So don't be shy to let your name stand in the election for new board members. It is definitely worth your time and effort to help this breed move forward. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to serve you by representing the Gelbvieh breed to the best of my abilities, and I will continue to serve the breed's best interest as a board member of the Canadian Beef Breeds Council. Thank you. I move my report as read. Cody, I'm seconder. Bev, way in the back there. Hello.
Okay, so for the office report, these stats were pulled as of June 29th. There were 3,879 females assessed in the 2026 whole herd enrollment. Last year, at the beginning of July, we had 3,977 females, with a total of 4,087 being enrolled by the end of 2025. Below is a breakdown of the number of members registering cattle out of the total number of members in the given provinces, the percentage of members registering cattle, and the total head enrolled in the breakdown. I've also included a chart this year on separating the junior breakdown with the growth in the number of animals being registered by our junior members. So you can see 2024 and then 2025. I thought it was just kind of prudent to point that out, that our junior program is growing. It speaks to the support that the juniors are receiving from their parents and programs like the National Junior Show, the Alberta BC Junior Incentive Program, and donations like the sponsored registrations from Ron and Gail Anderson at Bar GR Gelbvieh. They've sponsored one registration per junior that wishes to register cattle under their own name. They've done that for the last 2 years. Many breeders also have their own programs through their female sales that work to help juniors access quality genetics and be as successful as possible. The cumulative support really goes toward helping these young producers grow and become confident in their own programs and being a part of the industry. With continued support, we expect to continue to see growth both in the junior program and the Gelbvieh breed. The next chart outlines the number of annual members versus junior members. The membership fees will remain the same at $150 for 2026. 20 of that is passed on to the respective provincial associations every year, and we will continue the $75 honorary membership for any of those that wish to continue their membership but not register cattle. We have 2 of those in 2026 that would be included in the total above, and then herd assessment fees will remain at $40 per breeding age female in 2027. I'll move my report as read. Joe, thanks. Seconder. Ross, thanks.
We're on to the nominations committee report. First off, I'd like to thank Eddie Marsman for serving his 2 terms on this board of directors and serving as president. Eddie also stepped up to represent the CGA and other breed associations in our category of the Canadian Beef Breeds Council Board of Directors. We've appreciated his dedication and willingness to go above and beyond. So From myself and everybody else in the room, thank you very much, Eddie. With that being said, his position on the board is up for election. Lorna Okel has served 1 term on the board, and her position is up for election as well. Lorna has agreed to let her name stand for a 2nd term. Myself, I was a fill-in to finish out a term, and that position is also up for election this year, and I've agreed to let my name stand as well. I guess before I move the report, I think it's important that
You should just say that in the report, that's a error. My name's there, but it's not.
Oh, correct. Sorry, the wording is wrong. I skipped over that. Duncan is not up for re-election this year. His term ends in 2027. So just if there's any confusion, please make a note of that. But before I move the report, I feel it's important that everybody that is up or letting their name stand for re-election give a little spiel about themselves, just in case everybody isn't familiar with the people that are letting their name stand, and for any new nominations from the floor. So with that, I'll move my report as read, and then I'll step into giving a little spiel about myself, I suppose.
Sure.
Okay, do you want me to nominate you after your nomination? Can you please be on board?
Well, I have let my name stand. For everybody that doesn't know myself, I'm Neil Overby. I'm from St. Rose de Lac, Manitoba. I've been a member of the Canadian Gelbvieh Association since 2003. My wife and family, we run between purebred cows, custom grazers, etc., around 260 head. I feel I would be a valuable member to the team based on experience on the governance side of the association. I feel that stability from the board and the association is the most important thing. Having that stability up top gives every breeder the opportunity to create and grow their own operations without having any unforeseen issues from the association up top. So I feel that stability is very important, and that's the thing I want to focus on. Lorna can't be here today, but Eddie has agreed to do a breakdown of their operation as well.
We have agreed to have Duncan do this.
I don't know the numbers exactly of their operation, but they, her and her husband Don Okel run Gentai Gelbviehs down at Duchess. Is that their address? Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, they run purebred Gelbvieh cattle, have an annual bull sale, and they also run quite a few commercial cows, I believe. Yeah, they're involved with the Medicine Hat Pen Show. They always show there and support Gelbvieh there, and yeah, that's what I can tell you about Lorna. I guess with that, is there any more first calls? Oh, we need a nomination from her from the floor first. Mrs. Davidson, Eileen? Is there any other first call for nominations from the floor?
I nominate Sandra Schultz.
He accepts. Would you like to come up and just say something about yourself?
Put you on the hot spot?
Good morning, I'm Xander, and my wife and I run AKS Gelbvieh. We're located southeast of Edmonton, northeast of Camrose, about an hour and a bit north of here. We bought a cow herd in 2020 off a retiring breeder. We run about 100 females, not all papered, 100, 110 females, something like that. And I'm passionate, nerdy about my cows, I guess. Really excited about future. I'd like to be involved with the board, I think, because I think it makes a difference, and I'd like to have some input and be able to help with what's going on as far as the breed nationally, and what we're focused on and what we want to see happen, and how we can make things easier for the entire breed and promote the breed to the industry in general. So that's my spiel. Someone grab it.
Thank you. Any more nominations from the floor? Okay, with that, we'll cease the first call of nominations, and I'll move to the registration committee report. So below is a breakdown of registrations over the past few years. As the CGA operates on a whole herd basis, it is important for members to register all calves born. Ensuring that each female enrolled in the whole herd has a calf registered increases the accuracy of EPD evaluations. So in 26, as of June 29th, the purebreds and full-bloods were at 1349, percentage 135, balancer 132, for a total of 1616. In 2025, we had the 3614, 2024, 3383, and 23, 3581. So that is I will move my report as read. Seconder, Joe. Now a second call for nominations from the floor.
For the junior committee report, in 2026, there are 89 junior members as of June 29th, which is pretty incredible. So thank you to everyone who encourages and supports their kids and our juniors to facilitate that activities and the programs that the Gelbvieh breed has to offer. I just want to thank Joe and Jess for doing a fantastic job of supporting the junior board and making the National Gelbvieh Show an annual success. And Olivia, thank you so much for all of your work, you guys. This is an incredible show. The CGA has sponsored $500 for the DLMS coverage of both the AGM and the junior show, and $1,000 towards the facility fee. And then we're very excited to announce that for our 2026 scholarship recipients are Colby Holman and Amber Spray. Are they going to be here for the dinner? So unfortunately, they both couldn't be here, but we'll present those to them at a later time. So I move that my minutes are adopted as read, or my report. Is there a seconder? I think Mallory was back there.
All right, can we get a third and final call for nominations from the floor? Is there anyone else? Jonas selects or asked Ross Davidson, and he declined. Any others? Okay, well, we're going to cease nominations, and I guess we don't have to do a vote. Motion to cease nominations. Bev Milne. Tara Davidson seconds. All right, well, congratulations to Lorna and Neil and Xander for being our new board members for 26 to 28, I guess. All right, thank you. Moving on to the show and sale committee report. The Gelbvieh Association of Alberta, BC is hosting the National Gelbvieh Show November 6th at Farm Fair International in Edmonton. Edmonton is going a date back this year, so our date ahead, date back. Either way.
Day back, it's starting the Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah, so either way, our Gelbvieh show itself will be on the Friday instead of the Thursday as has been in the past. So yeah, we're going to the Friday showing, and with the Supreme show being on the Sunday. Entries are open September 1st and they close September 22nd, so just make sure you guys are aware of the entries. Close date is not October 1st, it's September 22nd. Canadian Western Exhibition will be November 23rd to the 28th. Entries open September 1st and close October 1st. Exhibition will be happening in 26 with lease renewal discussions happening between CWA and Brant for 27. 26 will maintain the same footprint, allowing the same number of entries as last year. CWA is working to ensure that the changes of the venue that have been going about social media really have not have a big impact, but yeah. The current venue will represent the minimum standard moving forward. Some improvements being discussed, including HVAC, power availability, footing, lighting, connectivity with all venue buildings, but CWA is working with Brant to put together a digital visual walkthrough of the facility changes. Sure. This year, the national show rules are up for revision, or they're eligible for it. So we would like to open it up to the floor to have discussion if there are any things that need to be changed for the show regarding classes or anything. So yeah, so we would open it up now if anyone has any suggestions or want to open up the national show rules.
Duncan, I have one remote one I'm going to read off for this.
Okay, Neil has something that someone brought forward to him, so he's going to read it.
So this came from Lee and Cynthia Wargo of Maple Grove Gelbvieh. Their statement is, in the wording of the female pairs in the balancer/percentage national show rules, we would like to see changes made to allow the possibility of a balancer cow with a purebred heifer calf at side being allowed to be split off and compete in the purebred division of the show. This past year, we had a 3/4 balancer cow with a purebred heifer calf at Agribition, and we're not allowed to enter the purebred calf in the purebred show. Does anyone from the floor want to have a discussion on this?
I can speak to that. That's an agribition rule. Agribition does not allow calves to show separate from their mothers.
Since everybody's being remote, you get the mic, which you love.
I love a microphone, you know this. The Agribition enforces that rule where calves shown on a cow do not show separately. And that's across all breeds. That's just a rule that Agribition has maintained on its own jurisdiction. Just heifer calves, yes, my apologies, heifer calves. Yeah, that's an Agribition enforced rule.
So if that would have been a bull calf, it would have shown.
So I guess clarification on that, because I have a feeling Lee and Cynthia would ask this question. Since the balancer division might be technically different from the purebred show, since they're maybe two separate shows, would that be different then?
I would say that's an Agribition question.
Joe says it's an Agribition question, so we will follow up on that.
But that could be discussed. That could still potentially be discussed for national rules if it follows, it comes into farm fair then, if it's not a farm fair rule. So if it is opened up on the floor here now, I guess we should have some discussion on it. Is there anyone that's opposed to it? Rod?
I don't think there's anything in the rules that says you can't do that though, right now, is there? Like if the national show was at Brandon or Farm Fair, there's nothing in it that says you can't. It's just Agribition that doesn't like to enter that.
The heifer calf from a cow calf pair may not, it says, if you go to section 3, the heifer calf from a cow calf pair may not show separate from its dam, is the general statement rule. It doesn't split it between purebred and balancer like Neil is bringing up. It just says you can't split that heifer calf off. So if you show it as a pair, it's not eligible to show as a heifer calf on its own the way that statement is right now, regardless of what show. I'm gonna have to repeat that all. If you guys look at section 3, class rules, it says under A, the heifer calf from a cow calf pair may not show separate from its dam. So what I was just saying is that's kind of a blanket rule that we don't split the heifer calf off from the cow calf. So that's a little bit different than Neil looking at it at 2 different shows. If the pair showed in the balancer show and the heifer calf showed it there, but this blanket rule says we can't separate them. So they'd have to choose whether they showed that as a heifer calf or as a pair. The way the current rules are is how I read those. And so what they're asking is to split that. Is there discussion?
Of the rules of the calf not showing away from its dam to keep from having holes in our championship class. If they're 2 separate shows, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, Duncan can probably speak better to that.
Yeah, like that's why we have this rule in place now but it's not as just a purebred division or the balancer division, is if a heifer calf were to show on her own, win the heifer calf division, and then she goes and shows on her cow, wins that division, well, now they come back into the champion class, and rather that calf is not in her hole where she should be in the champion drive, and so we've eliminated that out with this rule, so you always have a full 8 head or whatever it is in your class. Also, in the past or in other breeds, if they do it that way, then say that pair wins as champion pair, and then that heifer calf can walk down and win reserve champion female. So it's the same entry winning grand and reserve, which isn't quite show right either in a lot of minds. So, but yeah, that's a good question though, Neil, with the balancer side, because it is technically 2 different shows. So we'd have to see, I guess. I mean, for our national rules, they could be changed for when it's not being hosted at Agribition, but if it's an Agribition rule, that's pretty standard too. Is there anyone that has a lot of, like, as this rule sits, like, where they want to show heifer calves as separates anyways? Like, does that rule need to be discussed?
That's just kind of a one-off situation.
Well, like in the purebred side, like
They're bringing up.
leaving it at this, or on the purebred side to separate heifer calves?
It's one more calf in a class. Why would you not want to increase your numbers? The animal's being exhibited, you're paying for him to be there, why would you not want to get to exhibit the calf too? Any good judge can figure out that that's the calf that won the calf divisions and it's standing next to its mother. And if that cow is good enough to win the pair division, like, that's where the calf needs to stand too, but any judge can figure that out.
So then you'd have a hole in your champion class.
The calf's still standing out there in the lineup. It's not like it's in the barn. If it's on the reserve cow, I'd stand it in the champion lineup. Let the cow stand there by herself.
Rod?
Could we consider revising?
That's right, we gotta bring the mic. They can't hear online.
Just wondering if it's worth considering revising that rule and then changing the order that we show our females, so that just a heifer calf off of a division champion doesn't get separated. But there might be a really cool pair with a heifer calf that by chance was third, and that heifer calf totally deserves to win heifer calf champion, and our breed show would benefit from having those heifer calves showcase the breed at that heifer calf level. And I think that would be nice. So I think we could just reword that where basically it's just the heifer calves that have advanced in division with their moms that don't get to show separately.
So what you're saying is, go back to the old way of showing bred heifers first, pairs first, and then heifer calves after? Which I'm a firm do not like that, because that really loses your whole momentum of the show when a judge has seen your pairs out there, and then they have to go back to heifer calves. But that's why discussion is up for discussion, so.
If it was the old way, why was it changed?
Pardon me?
If it was the old way before, why did they change it back? What caused the change?
Well, it got changed, what, 5-6 years ago, at least?
Be making these transitions like every few years, like back and forth.
Yeah, like, we changed that rule back, or changed the order back so that the show has flow. You start with your youngest females, you work your way through it. So, it just.
Why would we change it back?
Well, just so then if you changed it back, then you could potentially show your female or your pairs first. If your pair didn't win with a heifer calf, then they can still be shown in the heifer calf class. We don't really have numbers from the shows that were pairs to, no, not on hand.
Duncan, you're like 100% right. It wrecks like the flow of your show. But I'll use like last year as an example. We had a lot of like heifer calf pairs. So like Cam's wicked pair, he could have shown that heifer calf separately, won a division there. Yeah, I don't know how you balance that.
Hey, Rod, would you mind repeating that into the mic for people online, please?
Yeah, so I guess just referencing last year's show at Farm Fair and Agribition, there was a lot of heifer calf pairs, just the way it worked out in that 2-year-old division. And there were some really strong heifer calves that would have been nice to see show as individuals. And I know it wrecks like the flow of your show, even from somebody that judges a few events, where you do your bred heifers, your pairs, then your heifer calves. I agree with that completely, but it's also like we always struggle for sheer numbers. And I use the example that Cam had a really cool pair out last year and she didn't make it past her division, but that heifer calf could have done damage in the heifer calf class, and that gives a young exhibitor a chance to showcase their hard work and their product one more time. And that part would have been pretty nice to see.
Well, what happens when on your champion pair that heifer calf is third in class? That's just going to cause a bunch of controversy.
No, but if they've already won their division, then they don't show separately.
Okay, so it's just kind of like a. I was just saying how if the heifer calf on the pair that won or whatever, like the pair division, if they showed it individually, which they wouldn't show it again individually.
If they won.
Yeah, like if the pair division, like if your pair won, would people show the calf separately from the cow then, or no?
No, if you
Oh.
win your division, then
Okay.
can't be separated.
Okay.
There was at one time, I'm not mistaken, that's how we did do it. Is we showed a pair one time, cow didn't advance, but then the heifer calf was able to show, so. But like Duncan said, the downside is that there
I'm listening, I'm not walking.
So I know at one time that's how it was, is with the pairs showed before the heifer calves, so then if the pair advanced and the heifer calf wouldn't show. Yeah, the downside to that is then you don't end with your pairs. So I kind of feel like we're almost talking about 3 different situations here. Either heifer calves don't show at all on the pairs, we show pairs first, or we show heifer calves first, and we might end up with a hole in our final drive. Is that we're kind of looking at 3 different things. So I feel like everybody's kind of talked, is it worth, could you almost vote, or just to almost poll the crowd and online, give those 3 options? Because if I'm not mistaken, this is we don't need to make a motion necessarily, it's more just like directing the board to make the revision. What if we just poll those 3 options to the members here and online, and then we can kind of move forward with that? Because I feel like there's kind of the 3 options we're working with.
Can I just add, you have the fourth scenario is what Neil specifically brought up, is that it's only if there's like a division between that balancer and purebred. So that's I agree with you. Those are the 3 scenarios. The 4th scenario is that a
heifer calf can't be shown. The fourth, yeah.
People have comments, be brave and come up here, so you save Duncan some miles.
The fourth scenario, so I agree with Aaron, you have those three scenarios he laid out. The fourth scenario is that we don't allow a heifer calf to be split off from the dam unless it's that division of one of those is going in the balancer show and one of them is going into the purebred show, and looking at those as two different shows. So the pair could be in the balancer and that calf or that dam could have been shown, or the calf would have been shown in the purebred. So that's your fourth scenario.
But Aaron, when Joe said it's an agribition rule, so if we were to change our show to bred heifers, cow-calf pairs,
Yeah, I guess.
are we potentially just making a move and we can't?
That could be if the show rules allow or something like that. I'm not sure.
Sorry. No, I think it's important that everybody remembers that these are the national rules and trying to do the national rules together and keeping it the same for multiple years so that it's the same at Farm Fair as the same at Agribition. We have to keep in mind that if Agribition is saying no, that they don't want to, what's the point of changing our rule? If our rule is not going to be in place for the two separate shows 2 years in a row, we need to keep that in mind as well. To keep it uniform and easy.
Well, maybe we'll leave it at, we have to get clarification first from Agribition, and then maybe we'll do a poll out through email here in the next, well, they need our prize list by and for August 1st for Farm Fair, but.
You can say this on there, but if it's our national show at Agribition, do we not get to bring our national rules? No.
No, you gotta, I think, follow them.
Okay, that was my clarification.
Okay. We might have an email coming out sooner than later because, yeah, August 1st, I know they're chomping at the bit for Farm Fair's prize book info to come back in. So Monday I'll have to talk to Agribition right away and we'll get something back to everyone. Okay. Is there any other
I had two things looking at this. Is there opposition? Why has there never been a fall division? And then looking at your rules here, you've got a cap of an August 1st. And I understand, like, you're talking about fall shows, but if you're using these as your national rules and your national junior shows right now, I would leave that age open-ended on your junior calf division. Just take away that August 1st. I mean, somebody has an August 2nd calf on a pair. Like, I realize right now that's not going to affect anything, but if the dates ever move or change, then you're going to be outside of rules. I just don't see the reason to have that August 1st date. And then can we add a fall division? I think that there's a lot of cattle that have to show up in an age to fit that. I mean, we ran into that. I also think there's probably some aging of cattle that would go away if there was a fall division. So December 25th born calves become January 1s and everybody's breed, and I'm not going to call ours as the worst, but if there's a fall division, you eliminate some of that.
Dates would you put on for a fall division? Well, just so like the previous year, it's March 1st to December 31st. So I'm assuming you'd want to split that.
Yeah, in the States, we have an intermediate division, which takes the summer months, so July, August, September, and then we have a fall division of October, November, December. I don't think that there's going to be enough cattle that would fit in those categories to make those divisions be two separate things.
So would like an August 1st to December 31st division work? So,
Your proposal, yeah.
yeah, that would be a proposal so that there is that fall division for those cattle.
should we get a vote on that one, though? So it's in there? Okay, Sammy makes a motion to add a fall division from August 1st to December 31st. That's just in calves or in yearlings as well?
So that would affect
So you'd have to add a line and,
All age groups, you'd have to do it in all. Yeah, you'd have a calf division and a non-yearling division as well.
so we need 2 more classes. Okay. We have to remember on the prize at Edmonton, there's no more added money, so rather everything gets watered down, and to make prize money for those divisions, or else since they're new, they don't get. But we'll decide that.
That would be basically if there's enough.
Yeah. But we need to go in and say, when we say, okay, we have 26 classes right now, so we divide our $30,000, so it's, you know, even, and they can't add back if it's not there. Seconder on Sammy's motion. Aaron? All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? 3 opposes, 4 opposes? Looks like motion carried. 4 opposed. Okay, for the national rules, is there,
I got something texted in. Lee sent this, number 10 and 11.
okay, so number 10 and 11, that's a limo show.
I know, but he's giving it as an example of
What they do?
limo was allowed to do this.
Okay, so just a reference here, the limo show, class 10 in their limb flex female born in 24 with her own 26 limb flex tattooed calf at foot. Calf may be of either sex, cow and calf to be judged as a unit. New proposal is calf is eligible for single calf classes. However, in the event of the cow-calf pair is selected for class 12, the champion limb flex senior female, the calf must show on the cow.
Right, so they're just going with that one scenario that we proposed.
But then how are they showing, they're not showing those heifer calves beforehand then, are they? No.
Not in what he said.
Are they, but in this limb flex show, they are showing pairs before calves. So they've changed the order.
I think what he's saying is that exhibition let them do it.
So exhibition let them do it that way. Okay.
Oh, they're not showing before, he said.
Well, it shows right there your class number. If 10 is your pairs, what is 17 or something? Like those are calves, aren't they?
Yes. So they are.
So in that order, pairs are showing before your calves. He's typing. He's listening. He can see me.
Random ideas we're talking. You guys can all nix this. We're just saying out loud, kind of like a 4-H show. Could you keep your momentum and still have, and like pull those heifer calves off, allow them to show. We'll have a bigger calf class. So you're going to have all your heifer calves show. You're going to go with your breds and then your pairs like normal. But if that heifer calf that won grand sits and wins on a pair, she has to go back down to that pair. And now technically your reserve sits in that first hole and your third moves up to the second hole, just so you fill that spot.
It doesn't work because if you have more than one division, then they'd have to place, because if you have more than one class in a division, you won't know who third is. If you only pick the top two, you pick your first and second division, you don't pick a third. If you have more than one.
Yeah, I was thinking you line them down, right? But you're not. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is you just carry the one up, right? Like. You what?
But if you have splits, you don't know who third is.
You'd have to pull 3 in every division then to make that work.
It gets so confusing, because then your pair might as well live in the header.
Okay, I think we're gonna poll the room and we're gonna do this, because if Agribition is letting those cows show, or letting those calves show as, their own individuals, then,
I was just asking Aaron if that's just because there's a limb flex, and maybe Agribition is only really particular about the purebreds because they qualify for Supreme. And so maybe they're on like a percentage show, they don't have like sticky rules for those.
So I think what Lee just texted was, the original ask is that even if they show as a pair in the balancer show, can he just enter the calf in the purebred show? So Lee just asked, for the purebred heifer to be entered separately in the purebred show, even though it's off of a balancer cow, they show as a pair in the balancer side,
okay,
which was the fourth.
that's a separate issue though.
I agree.
Okay, I think that's a separate issue. So I think we should make a motion on that and make a vote on a balancer female pair if she has a purebred calf at foot, if the calf can show in the purebred show.
Yeah, so let's have,
So can I get a motion on that and we'll make a vote?
Lee will move it,
Lee,
and then ask the room.
is there a seconder? Darcy? So the motion is to change, that a balancer pair with a purebred calf can show the calf separately in the purebred show. Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Looks like motion carried.
How many opposed, please?
3.
What is it, 3 adults?
2 adults and a junior.
2 juniors and adults.
Pardon me?
2 juniors and adults.
2 and 2? Okay, so that motion will be carried forwards but we will double check with Agribition just right. Yeah. So then the next one is to leave the rules the same, how they are, where you can't split them. You can split them or show the heifer calf first, show her as a pair, and leave a hole in your champion class is number 2. Or number 3 is going to be completely change the show order back to breds first, pairs second. If the pairs are either first or second in division, those heifer calves can't show in the heifer calves divisions, but the rest can. Okay, so there's 3 different options, right? Are we all clear on this?
Why would you show breds first and that? Should start with pairs, start with calves, finish with breds.
Direct the whole purpose of the show if you did that. Like, why, if that's the key, then why is no other, if that's what.
So we're planning on doing, why are we not the same as the other breeds as they're doing heifer calves, right?
Like, we might as well go with the heifer calves, because why are we there? We're here to promote cattle and get good flow. Like, we gotta start with the calves, we gotta go to the breds.
I agree with you. But there's been conversation on leaving those heifer calves till the end, so yeah, you need to change something.
So we've got those 3 options. Do we want to do a poll on those 3 options, either leaving it the same where they can't show separate, basically saving the same flow, and then having a possible hole in our champion drive, or changing the order so pairs show before heifer calves?
Yeah. Everyone's in understanding?
Only if Agribition's okay with things, and not Olivia's point is right, where you don't want to be flip-flopping.
Yeah.
But we can amend these rules and then
Yeah.
make that decision, and then if it's overridden at that given show.
We need to have a viewpoint of where we're going though today, because yeah, we have 2 days until we need the prize list in for Edmonton. So we need to, let's have a vision on which way we're going. We'll check with Agribition tomorrow or Monday, and then we'll know where we're going. Okay, so number one is leave the show the way it is in the rules now. Hands up for that number one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Option 2 is leave the show order the same as it is, but allow heifer calves to show on their own and potentially have a hole in your champion class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 online, 8. And then the third option is change your show order so that you're showing heifer calves at the end so that you know if your pairs, if they've won or not. So option 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 online. Well, that changes the whole show order. Okay, so for right now, it's going to be left as is, right? Okay, vote done. Is there any other national show rules or changes that anyone wants to see brought up now when we have the eligibility to do it? What is it, every 2 years or every 3 years? We can do this.
Well, we made it every 3 years. We made it for in 3 years when it was created.
When it was created.
That's up for discussion. That doesn't have to stay.
Yeah. I think we did that just so that we did have a consistency of a show, like both going back and forth. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll likely revise this in another 3 years if that's all right, unless something major comes up that needs to be brought up. But for right now, then, if everyone's happy. Pardon me? Where is that? Number 15? Okay. Okay, thank you. Oh, Aaron.
I'd like to make the motion that we can update the rules at any time, but don't necessarily need a review at a certain pace, so that if something does come up any year, it can be addressed, but we don't necessarily need to review them on a set number of years. So if next year something comes up that we want to change in the rules that can be brought up and changed, we don't have to wait 3 years necessarily. Like, I understand this first set, we said 3 years, we're going to leave them as is, but I just feel like if something comes up, if we have the ability to change them every year, we don't necessarily need to put them in the agenda every year to necessarily review them, but we have the option to change them, where the last 3 years, we didn't have the option to change them. So I'd like to make that motion, or if there's any discussion on that.
So you're making the motion then?
I'll make the motion that, yeah.
So Aaron made a motion that we're leaving it open-ended, that rules can be changed yearly. Not necessarily that they're set in stone for 3 years and revised then. Is there a seconder on that? Joe? All in favor on that motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is there any opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll carry that motion through then. Thanks, Aaron. Oh, 4, yeah. Okay, I think that's my show and sale committee report. I'll adopt that as read. Can I get a seconder, please? Shane? And then we're going to be, I guess we don't have to do the election of directors, do we? All right, breed improvement, Sarah.
Okay, so I've included in this report quite a lot of detail, I guess, on the 3 research projects that we're currently working on. So I'll just kind of give a review of them. The research projects that we're involved in are kind of a high-level contribution to the beef industry as a whole, to give beef producers, commercial and purebred, better tools and insight on how to use the tools that we do have, and utilize the genomic testing that everybody's investing in. So number 1 is, we started that one last year and it's still ongoing. That's the molecular heterosis measures to enhance performance in beef cattle project out of the University of Alberta. And then number 2, we started this spring, and it's to monitor metabolic efficiency and stress resilience by collecting thermal phenotypes in cow-calf production. This one's kind of cool, and we were actually approached to be a partner in this one, as Kane was kind of looking to investigate how technology can be used on farm to benefit producers and what's the practicality of that. I think it's interesting, some of the findings that we're seeing initially, that supports kind of the dry matter intake model, and the correlation that we're seeing there, because taking these images to create an efficiency index is much less, time consuming and way cheaper than putting your cattle on some kind of feed test. So I think that's kind of cool and might become a useful tool for people interested in that kind of information. So we're looking to continue that one next spring. We've paired it with collecting the carcass ultrasounds, just to get that extra information coming in, but also see how the thermal efficiency index correlates to things like ribeye area. And then number 3 is our most recent project that we're collaborating on at the University of Saskatchewan. And it's called Application of Genomic Tools for Commercial Beef Cattle Producers. And it's looking at people who are purchasing yearling bulls and the accuracy of the EPDs that they're being provided on those yearling bulls compared to the actual performance that they're getting in the calves. So the project objectives are outlined there. Is there any questions on any of the research projects going on at the moment? No? Okay, then I've included an IGS summary here with some numbers for you guys, how many Canadian Gelbvieh prefix animals out of the total, and then the 838 sires with the Canadian Gelbvieh prefix having progeny in multiple databases for the total progeny that results in a 12.428-fold increase in the number of records. So for every calf that we register in our database from one of those sires, there are 12 others being registered in the other registry databases. And so that's just the fold increase on performance data that we're getting in those sires, contributing to the accuracy of the EPDs. We continue to report performance data and trade observations on par or slightly above the average of all the other associations participating in the IGS evaluation, so that's good. We don't have any big holes or gaps in the data being reported. And then I've included a graph just to show you the blue is for males, the red is for, the blue is for females, the red is for males. And then the traits are along the x-axis at the bottom, and it shows the Canadian Gelbvieh versus the IGS. Does anybody have any questions about the IGS evaluation or any of the information presented? No? Okay, and then registry provider. So everybody knows 701X acquired Digital Beef, and they've made a decision to stop supporting the Digital Beef registry platform and are in the process of developing their new one and transitioning each association onto it. So there are currently 6 other breed associations, a combination of, well, mostly American ones and then Canadian Shorthorn, that are the first group to transition. So we're observing this closely and working with the American Gelbvieh Association very closely to explore our best options and discussing how to manage data ownership and access to our data moving forward. Does anybody have any questions about that? Bev?
So with respect to data ownership, what are they telling you? Are they saying there's a chance that we as the producers don't own our own data?
Not necessarily. So in our contract, the CGA owns the data within the registry and everything that goes along with that. Our access to it is limited. And in discussions with Harold at the AGA, we've discussed it extensively. 701X is primarily a phenotypic data collection technology company. That's their main focus. A registry is far down the list of their priorities. And so one of the things that Harold and I have discussed is if they're using our data to develop their services and their technology, you'd have to sue them to prove it and to actually do anything about it. And neither one of us are really, like, as we've discussed, financially in a situation where we would even want to entertain going down that road. And just how could we implement things to further protect ourselves, or maybe that isn't necessarily the place that we want to align ourselves with. But it's very high level discussions at this point. It's just making sure that we do our due diligence to explore all the options available, instead of just going along with it and thinking that it's all going to be fine, right? Like, what can we do to make sure we're as best protected as possible? Yeah. Are there any other questions? Comments? Xander?
I presume there are other businesses that provide this service potentially out there?
Yeah, so Helical is a New Zealand company that does some work for some breed associations on genotype storage and parentage analysis, and they have developed a registry. So I guess they would be an option. ABRI is a Australian company. Hereford, Angus, they're using them. Same with Maine and Juice. And then CGen is what it's called. It's a Canadian company that Charlet and Speckle Parks use, and Simmental. CGen is the company that we looked at under the CBIN umbrella, and they weren't interested in improving or making any changes to what they have, and it's not better than Digital Beef. Neither, arguably, is ABRI. I've worked in all of them except for Helical. I guess one of the things that Harold and I discussed as well is if you switch to one of these providers, you're still beholden to a third party. And so if we were to explore switching, it would have to be because they're offering a superior product to what 701X is and superior value. And so I guess that's where we're just doing our due diligence at the moment, is to make sure that we've explored all those options, to make sure that we're making the best decision possible. I'd really like to build my own, but yeah. We are kind of looking at that as a bit of an option. Under CBIN in the University of Saskatchewan, just seeing what that would take and making a bit of a project proposal and just seeing what would that investment actually take, what funding is available, because it is becoming increasingly obvious that the Canadian beef industry is highly reliant on third parties for everything, and that we don't really do a good job of storing and managing our data. So there is federal government support for some of these initiatives, we're just kind of, it's very high level exploratory at this moment. Tara.
I guess I had two questions. What are the 6 associations that are going to the new format? As well as my other question is, if it is something that the Gelbvieh Association wants to keep going ahead with the digital beef type data holding center, is that something that the AGA and CGA would work together on?
Yeah, so for the breed associations that are going on to the new one right away, Canadian Shorthorn, American Shorthorn, American Brahma, American Limousin, and that's all of the ones I know at this point. I know that American Wagyu left, and I believe they're going to helical, but I don't know for certain. Did it? Okay. Harold is kind of keeping tabs on that situation for us to see how that transition is going as well, because no matter what you do, no matter what we do in this process, it's not going to be easy. It's just how do we mitigate it best, right? Like how do we make it the best experience for our members? And then moving on to the new platform, yeah, so I don't see like one of us going one way and one going another. No.
Sarah?
Yeah.
What would it take to buy the digital beef back from 701? It's clearly made it clear they don't.
So the question was, what would it take to buy digital beef from 701X? I have no idea.
I don't know what it costs.
Yeah, I don't know what they paid for it. No. And because, and I'm not a computer tech person, but I am kind of learning slowly. And I don't know if we want it, honestly. It's very archaic in its programming, apparently. But one of the concerns that I've had a little bit is that the new 701X platform is Microsoft-based. And so you are a little bit limited that way into how things can be developed and done. I heard that the helical system is very flexible, and it gives the association a lot of ability to turn things on and off in the background as well, whereas we're very beholden to them doing things right now. You know, even if things aren't working how they're supposed to, we're very beholden to them fixing it in a timely fashion. And why things suddenly are working and then aren't working. And we can never really get a good explanation as to that either. And I think that speaks to the programming of it in the background, is they aren't even sure how everything's connected, so they think they're changing one thing, and then it impacts something else that may or may not even be related to that function. And so it's been frustrating for them taking it over as well, and not every association is the same. Like even Harold and I were like, well, why can't we just copy it off of theirs and put it on ours? And they're like, well, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, it's kind of more complicated than anyone really expects, or maybe it even should be. Are there any other questions about the registry or? Okay.
I guess something for the membership to consider and think over in the future based on like domestic data versus a third party. I understand Tara's comment about being collaborative with the AGA on building something new together or being aligned. Just a word of caution on that. This board has been working really well together, but history has shown us that that isn't always the case. Back in the early digital beef years, the CGA was renting software off the AGA, and the platforms were different, our genetic makeups weren't aligning. Ours was, for lack of a better term, a toned-down version. And then we as a board decided to go with our own digital beef platform after that. So collaboration is great, but if we're going to do something like that, we should have the proper legal documents set up that we don't run into a situation like that again. So just something for the membership to consider.
Yeah, and I think when I think of us as a line too, or the discussions that have happened in the past year on the board, we may go to the same service provider, but there hasn't really ever been a desire to like merge the registries for the reasons that Neil's explaining. Yeah, I think also, you know, we've kind of looked at things, and when you get a contract and you have legal documentation, you can think, okay, I've protected myself, but when it actually comes down to it, the only way to actually defend yourself is to sue somebody. So if you want to do something about something, then you're going to have to eventually go down that route if you can't find a compromise before then. And that's just what Harold and I have been discussing too, is how best to protect yourself so that you don't ever have to go into that position. Are there any other comments or questions? No. Okay. So I think that concludes the breed improvement. I'll move that report. If somebody could first and second that, please. Olivia and Xander, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Just before we move on to the advertising, where is the sign-in sheet? Has it been going around, or everyone has signed in at least? Just make sure it's going around. Okay, moving on to the advertising committee report. I'm gonna do it for Lorna. She sends her regards, but CGA committed to sponsoring the LMAC, the livestock marketing or livestock market auctioneering competition, something like that. Yeah. So we always do that. Agribition, Farm Fair, the National Junior Gelbvieh Show, Medicine Hat Pen Show, and targeted online ads, as well as the DLMS homepage banner ad, feeder calf sale banner ads online with DLMS, and various co-op ads when supported. And one highway trailer? I thought we got rid of them all. Yeah. Oh, there is one highway trailer. DLMS banner ads have been clicked on 559 times by 447 unique viewers, so it's kind of an interesting stat. All the spot ads banners have been taken down, so there's no longer any sun-faded trailers along the highways giving us a bad rep. The Canadian Gelbvieh Connection podcast is well underway. All junior podcasts submitted as their marketing projects for the last year junior show were published in season 1, and we have published 6 episodes under season 2, and will continue to publish on the 15th of every month. And so share and follow the podcast and get it out there so we can all view it and see it. The CGA board has decided to select some commercial groups of Gelbvieh influenced feeder calves and get professional videos and photos taken to aid in a marketing and promotion of Gelbvieh feeders. As we move closer to the fall sale season, we'll be selecting some commercial producers to work with and move that program forward. Is there any questions on the advertising committee or any suggestions?
What are you going to do with those videos?
That was your idea, wasn't it?
The idea was that, especially if you're selling online, if we have commercial producers, a lot of times those online sales, it's your rep that's out there just kind of taking photos off the back of his truck. But if we have really nice videos showcasing those calves that are being sold online that we could promote even on Facebook or anything, just to kind of show that, really make those calves really pop, whether it's on the sale or through through Facebook, to showcase what Gelbvieh can look like in these feeders, and being able to follow up afterwards too and say, here's this group of calves, they went through this ring, they brought this price, That's just as simple as that. But really, to be honest, I kind of took that inspiration from Limo. They've been doing some things like that, where they just got really good photos instead of kind of that commercial, just, your iPhone out there, and made them look really good on those sale pages. So we wanted to do that for Gelbvieh as well too, and then be able to follow up and just say, here's look at this exceptional group of calves. Here's what they sold for. Sharing that with the producers then as well? Yeah, so you can use it for your marketing, right? That's the idea. Like ideally, if you're listing them on Team or DLMS or an online sale, that you could, have that before. Or if we have like some of these sale barns, if you're not selling them online, some of these sales barns are having some of those influence sales. Or if you're bringing a big run of calves through, that's where we'd like you to work with us, board. If you know that you're going to be putting them through your local auction mart on this day, talk to us. Let's get those calves professionally videoed, and you guys can be promoting those, saying, look at these calves, they're going through Yorkton on this day, or list the auction mart. Just really put that really nice imaging out of these really strong calf groups going through the market.
Thanks, Vicki. Anything else? Any other? Okay, we're going to move into 8 minutes of brainstorming session. So we're going to kind of break into maybe U4 and kind of maybe U4 or 5 in the back, maybe U5, and then maybe if you two want to come up here. And just to kind of brainstorm some suggestions for you guys to give us as boards to what we can do for advertising and what you guys would like to see maybe. And we'll give you a few minutes, and you guys can just kind of, if every group can maybe come up with one idea, and then we'll just share them. So yeah, Aaron or Joe and Darcy, if you want to maybe come with these guys or split up or whatever. And U4 back there, U4 back there. Yeah, thank you. And if anybody online, exactly, if you guys have suggestions or whatever, type it in, or send Sarah a quick text, but type it in your chat there and we can read them out. So we'll give you guys 5-8 minutes, and yeah, we'll go through there. Okay, we'll give you guys a couple more minutes here to wrap up, and then we'll bring the mic around to each table. So someone will give us their thoughts. Okay, we're gonna carry on here. So is there a group that would like to go first and present? Olivia's giving me the eye like she is born ready, no?
Oh my God, what do you want?
Share your ideas. Who wants to talk?
We kind of bounced around a couple ideas. Primarily was on our website. Like, I've noticed lots of guys are calling me because they've checked on the DLMS, they see the ads. So they're calling, they're finding someone in the area and they're seeing the ads. Part of what we discussed was maybe tweaking that website a little bit for quicker access. For example, the semen sales. It's, you gotta kind of search a little bit to find it. If we make some of those advertising pieces a little bit more accessible, quicker, so you're not hunting through the drop-down menus, that might help and improve.
The things that are being asked for.
Yeah, the things that are being asked for, so like the specific things that people are looking for. So if they're looking for sale catalogs, make them the first bold thing that pops up on that website. And that could be a timely thing. I know it's kind of a pain in the rear to have to adjust that website more often. But if we have to change it up and tweak it so that it's in session for the season, that might be something that would help speed that up. Because I mean, I've looked at my website and you can see the timing of sessions and see how long people are clicking on there. And if they're not finding what they're looking for right away, they're moving on. So if we tweak that website just a little bit.
Okay, thanks, Olivia. N group. Boys?
Ran away.
He was just going to come back?
No. So I guess our marketing concept was, how do we change the perception in industry as being the value component breed and be one of the top dollar focus point breeds? And so with that, we think that the real key to potentially moving forward is if we can find some commercial programs that utilize Gelbvieh and as well as some of your other main sire groups. And for example, I know like in the last 2 years in a row, CDC Farms sells Gelbvieh sired, Angus sired, and Simi sired calves, typically third week in October. And for 2 years in a row, the top weight, top dollar has been their Gelbvieh calves. And that's on the Charlet promoted weekend. And also, for example, Betchers at Perlich Brothers in February, when they sold all their steers and all their heifers in that entire sale, were top weight and top dollar. And I think what we need to be able to do is get one or two of those programs that do excel at the commercial level, and we could literally highlight that Gelbvieh sired calves this week, this day, were actually $56 more per head than the same programs Angus sired or Char sired or whatever, showcasing to producers not our perceived value, but true economic value in the breed. And then I think you somehow encompass that with the traits that we want to be known for, which is focus on the docility impact. And then one of the concepts came with like the positive changes in terms of the push of how many guys seem to be currently working off farm, and so it's typically their wives or their dads that are helping a lot with calving. And what does docility mean, and how does those economic impacts truly generate the added value on the female side as well? And we could probably create a calculation for what docility, longevity translate to above just the feeder steer value. And I think when you start putting the true economic value, that's when guys then look at the bulls and they go, they're worth a premium, not that we ran out of budget on the semi bulls, so we bought a Gelbvieh bull.
So Rod, I'm just like to start that campaign, could we not piggyback it on making a trans photo with pricing?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be kind of our ground level, and then we could go in there.
If I just want to go back, I apologize. Yeah, first I'm going to say, Rodney, I got you written down. When we get to that point of videoing, I'd love to have those contacts and make sure that we send a photographer and video out there. And I was just saying that was really the original concept of this. Again, not trying to steal Limo's idea, but I was saying I sit in a lot of sales barns and offices, and I was saying I never ever hear the word limo. And then last July, I came in, worked at office day, and Jill had these perfectly videoed, perfectly photographed limos in there, and like they were way off the charts for market price, and everybody just shrugs their shoulders. They're like, well, they're limo, of course that's what they got. And I was like, so that's the idea I brought back to the group. I'm like, how do we get that as a small breed where when we do show up with a group of calves, we're getting that higher price, and everybody's like, well, yeah, of course they got that price, they're Gelbvieh. You know, how do we get them to talk about Gelbvieh commercial calves in that way, just like you said, and find those success stories that you're talking about and make sure we highlight those, right? So, I mean, there's also that part of, you know, if they just bring commodity price, that's fine too. Let's make them look really good out in the pasture. Let's show them going through the sale barn ring, and let's say that's the price they got. But when we do get a story like that, whether they're breds or whether they're commercial calves and they're off the charts, let's make sure we like scream that from the rooftops, right? Like, and make sure we just make them look really great out there in advertising. that we can say, these are some really great commercial calves, these are some really great breds, you know, they're using Gelbvieh genetics, and look at the price they got over the market. And like I said, what I'd love to see is then we have those people, you know, maybe as a small breed, we're not, you know, talked about all the time in the sales barn, but when those calves show up, they're like, oh yeah, there's that group of Gelbvieh calves, right? And then we go up. So it's commanding that premium, like, just like you said. So yeah, let's connect on who those producers are, and anybody else too. Like if you're putting your own calves in a sale, we want to highlight those. Or if you know some of those success stories where you've sold, you know, bulls to these producers and they're getting those top dollar prices, or they have really exceptional calves, let's make sure we highlight those and tell those really big success stories.
Thanks, Vicki. Do you guys have any other things, or that kind of wrapped it up? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Team corner.
Well, I think we came up with some of the same things that are being said. We recognize that probably our best advertising is word of mouth. So how would you do that in a print situation or social media situation? So that would be through testimonials from people like that. But, you know, and then go along with some good video, which we're talking about. The other thing that we hit on was the fact that as a breed, we tend to really emphasize our family orientation and stuff, like we're a family of breeders. But we need to expand out of that. We need to get back into being advertising in magazines that are not just the Gelbvieh Guide, magazines that have other breeds in them and showcase our breed there. So things like Cattlemen, and yes, they're expensive, but you get what you pay for. So.
Okay, thanks, sir, guys. We'll definitely take that back to the board. But yeah, that's always, when we do talk about advertising, yeah, that's always the price point, that those magazines in particular are very expensive. But yeah, you betcha.
But we're not just preaching to the choir.
We're just preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I guess while we're talking about preaching to the choir, we're getting into show season. And, you know, for most of us, when we promote these shows, we're promoting show cattle. But for most of us that have been doing it for a lifetime, we know that it's a good place to be. It might be expensive, but not in the long run. You get such a variety of people coming through the doors and visiting with you. Sometimes it's past customers, but sometimes it's people like Bev was talking about that are just down the road, and you get an opportunity to show them, and then they take that bull home and they do some things. But there is a lot of advertising done for us for the big shows, and that's done, you know, we pay for it through entries and all the rest, but it's a lot more important than just showing the cattle. That networking at those shows is important. And, you know, seeing this many head of cattle here in the barns is so good, because these cattle are ready to go. You know, sure, it might be expensive, but you'll get well paid going to those shows and networking with the next group of people.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eileen and Bev. Okay, this group.
So yeah, we kind of came up with a couple different ideas, and we're kind of running through things. We talked about Facebook ads, Instagram ads for marketing, kind of like marketing what everyone's been talking about here already. We also discussed putting together a QR code that's sort of tied to a one-pager that highlights everything that, you know, Ross said, let's put it on our Gelbvieh coffee cups or something at Farm Fair and things like that. So people can click on these, this QR code, and it'll have a highlight of the breed. It'll have a link to producers. It'll have some highlights of EPDs and what the benefits of the breed are. And it's all sort of on a one click. And you know, even each producer at the show could have that on at their stall signs and things like that, this QR code. And then alternatively, also came up with sort of having a Gelbvieh app, which would encompass kind of all the information that everybody's talking about here. You could have notifications come up when Gelbviehs are coming for sale at an auction. And you know, it'll, just like you get a Facebook notification, all of a sudden you get a Gelbvieh notification that, hey, there's gonna be these animals coming up. But we could have it highlighted to
you know, you could have commercial producers highlighted in that app. You could click to it and see who's using Gelbvieh genetics, and you can have, you know, highlights of the junior show and our junior program, as well as the show cattle, and kind of have everything there on an application that that everyone has access to, because everyone's got their phones these days. So, yeah.
He practices all this in his own head.
Thanks, guys. That might be a good junior project, because I don't think there's enough of us on the board that can develop an app. But thank you very much for your guys' input and thoughts, and we've taken it all back to board level and go through that. I think there might be one or two things online. Dan says CGA advertising should attempt to be national in scope. In regards to the podcast, we were able to see how many viewers we were getting. So, not many on the podcast viewers. So we need to be sharing that and getting it out more ourselves. Oh, in regards to the podcast, we need to, are we able to see how many viewers we're getting? And yes, we are. We're able to see it, and we're not getting enough that would be beneficial. We need to really get it out and share it.
Well, do people even want it?
The podcast, something that we even want as a people?
I think one of the discussions that's happened around the board table that should be highlighted is we appreciate the brainstorming sessions and take those ideas and have implemented quite a few of them, and then they don't get used or viewed or shared or anything. And so the follow through from everyone is something, and that's like the testimonials and branching out outside the family, as the back group called it. Like, the support has to be there from everybody too. And so, yeah, do we want the podcast? Not even everyone in this room has maybe even listened to one, right? And so every new episode is put on the monthly e-news, for example. One of the things was, how can we highlight frozen genetics? And so we put the sale barn tab up on the website. It's only ever been used once by one person. And so the avenue was put there, but nobody used it. So the CGA invested the money to make the changes on the website, and then it wasn't used. So I think we just need to keep that in mind, and if it's something that you want, then the board can take that away and discuss it, and then advise if I'm to work on implementing it. But if the follow through isn't there, it's a waste. Jeremiah, just a minute.
It's okay, I'll just, real quick. Is it possible to share the results of the podcast in terms of how many people are viewing it?
Yeah, like, so on average, like, it'll have 18 listens. I think the highest listen we got was when I did the one with Claire the vet, and I think we got up to 54. But we've had as low as 3 or 7. And I think maybe that was on the junior ones too, it took a while to get through them all and everything, and maybe people lost interest, I don't know. But we've also had people please submit a topic if you want, or submit a question to address on that episode with that person. And we've only had one person submit one thing. Rodney, I'm coming.
I guess just thought was on the podcast. It seems like that's a really competitive marketplace for how many hours you're going to listen to stuff. And I know some guys are big time in a podcast, and I wonder if we can somehow affiliate or link with a current existing one that has a big following, and then just have the space to put some of our content a part of their deal. And I don't know what options are out there, because I'm not a big podcast listener, but I know some guys that's all they listen to when they drive.
Yeah, so I think it's the livestock one, right, that Curtis Reed does. to advertise on one podcast for him is, I think, $1,500. So one episode, one time, maybe, right? Like, so it's hard to know, and it's hard to measure your return on a lot of things that we do. I guess that's a discussion that we have often, is like, what's going to be the return on this investment? And so we have traded Kim and Jackie with Grow Your Life with Kim and Jackie and the AIM program have been actually quite supportive of our podcast development. And so we exchanged advertising. They have a decent following. I would say it's more to the female side, like the wives. But so we have a blurb on theirs, and our blurb right now is focusing on the junior element. And then we update it throughout the year, and then we, in return, give them a blurb, right? So it's like, okay, thanks to our sponsor, and then they give their little blurb before we get into the episode, right? And so maybe looking for more of those in-kind exchanges is possible. It's kind of hard. Like, there were a couple other ag ones that we reached out to that you just don't even hear back from. So it's kind of tough. But we also looked at maybe getting another host that isn't me, that is maybe more of a radio voice. I don't know what you want to call it. That's not my specialty. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. He did one podcast, and like, it is kind of stressful. It's putting yourself out there, and he just was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So it was not you, Tara. No, you did an awesome job, and I appreciate that. So we're kind of maybe on the hunt for some, and it wasn't like we weren't paying well either. So we're kind of on the hunt for the right fit maybe for that, but in the meantime, I'll continue. I guess for August, we're kind of looking to do a junior promotion one, having maybe somebody on the junior board interview an attendee on their experience. That we could then use next year to promote the show again. So we'll publish it in August, but then promote it next year, and then continue on. Sammy.
On that same note, I know you've got one kid that came over from Hereford that is enjoying the heck out of being here. That'd be a great person to interview to try to poach some more of those kids. Yeah, if Cameron would interview her and like talk about the experience, and there's a dairy girl maybe too, right? Like, this is their first time, like, but from their parents, like their moms, they've both enjoyed the heck out of it. And how do we be involved next year? So those are the people, not the Holman kids that are in here because they have Gelbvieh cattle and they're forced to be here, right? I'm not saying that, but but the kids that are like not willingly, I guess, but it's not the right word, but like they're not in the Gelbvieh breed. Yeah.
So the kids that aren't normally here, it's out of their normal circle, for sure.
Well, and have either showed at other shows and have found this one to be their happy place, right?
Yeah. So Olivia said this show has been the happy place for many that they regularly show at other shows. Rodney.
Yeah, so another one that'd be awesome would actually be the young girl that our boys encouraged to come along, Laramie, who's actually got some shorty background. And then she could even reference, she did Synergy and felt like that was a tough go for her. She didn't have a good experience there, and how much she's loved this event, connected with kids. She's won a few things, which is pretty cool. And I think that showcases that those kids can come here, be successful, connect with the group, and have a good experience. And I think those hold more weight than, how Cam did or how he feels about it, because we know he's having fun.
Okay, is there any further discussion on any of the items?
Yeah, that voice for your podcast should be Ryan Carey.
All right, thanks everyone. I'll let my advertising committee report be adopted as read. Can we have a seconder? Cody Gerling. Alrighty, we're going to move on to the financial report, which Ed is going to do.
We don't need to do the governance one?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
You almost missed my test run. All right, nice and easy. No notices of motion were brought forward by the membership or the CGA board to review at this AGM. So I'll move that as read. Thank you.
I think you got the job right.
Smooth as glass.
That's a voice for radio, if I've ever heard one. All right, let's continue on with the Financial Committee report. The audited financial statement for 2025 was emailed to the CGA membership by March 31st, 2026, as per our bylaws. The 2026 statement will be emailed by March 31st, 2027. Hard copies are available upon request. For the purpose of the AGM, we have provided an interim financial statement up to June 30th, month end. Please review the documents attached and feel free to ask any questions. The Board of Directors receives these reports every month end. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to contact the office or one of the directors. The CGA Board of Directors decided December 25 to put surplus funds into a low-risk investment account to accumulate better interest. These funds had previously been in GIC accounts noted as the advertising fund. We have also absorbed the balance of the junior scholarship account into the CGA main account as it became easier logistically with signing authority just to pay this from CGA. The CGA is committed to maintaining an annual scholarship. I move my report as read. Can we have a seconder?
Just say, does everyone want a review? Cody has a question. Okay. Cody, you have a question first? Go ahead. Oh, you're seconding. I'm sorry, Cody. Does anybody have any questions on the report first? Just quick before we do that too. Sammy.
I had a question. I leaned over and asked Aaron earlier. When you're talking about litigation.
Yeah.
Does the association have a litigation fund, some money set aside in case you were litigated, not necessarily to litigate to protect the association?
Sure. So the question was, do we have some funds set aside in case we were sued on something, should the need arise? So we have kind of different pots of money. So you'll see on the balance sheet, there was the $86,832 last year that is noted the advertising fund. So that's a savings that's set aside specifically for advertising. We had different amounts in other GIC accounts that would be considered association savings, separate from that advertising fund, that we could lean upon should the need arise. I'm just making note specifically of that advertising fund, just so that everyone is aware that, what was their name now again? I can't, it's not coming to me. They had, Olivia, do you remember? No. Bev, do you remember? They were in Calgary. They had donated Anita Jansen, thank you, Bev. They had donated money specifically to be invested for an advertising fund so that the association could use the interest off of that money for specific advertising ideas should the need arise. And so that's why I've just denoted it separately. So that isn't something that the association would go into for something like that, but we do have other savings. Reality's real. We also carry insurance. So every director has insurance, the association has insurance as a whole. So that would be a level of protection before we would have to go into any kind of our own funds first as well. Are there any other questions? Or anything you want to go over. So we're just showing the balance sheet, the profit and loss, and then the smaller print at the back is the actual ledger of the association. So anything that is spent to date, as of June 30th, is listed on that. If there aren't any other questions, then I think we'll move on. You can also ask a question of a board member or I on the financials at any time as well. These statements are produced monthly.
Okay, so what's next on the agenda?
Just say, Cody, do you still second this?
Oh, you still second this, Cody? Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on with, oh, wait a minute, I'm missing something here. Ratification of the actions of the Board of Directors.
A motion and a seconder.
Okay, we need a motion to, oh, Bev, can we have a seconder? Joe, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Gelbvieh Association of Alberta and BC report from Olivia Koziak. That's you.
Okay, so it's been another great year for the cattle industry in terms of the prices and growing herds. Both sales were strong, and the interest in Gelbvieh has been high. Congratulations to all the breeders for a great season. Although Mother Nature has been a bit testy in some areas, I wish everyone a great rest of your summer and a prosperous fall. In the past year, the GAABC has worked extremely hard on our online presence. Our Facebook page following has grown tremendously and engagement has improved. We would like to continue to work on this and on what the previous board has done in making our junior incentive as a successful program, and continue its fruits of their labor out into the show ring and in growing junior herds. Last year, our entries had totaled 133 entries. As usual, Farm Fair remains a successful show, and we are looking forward to hosting the national show this year. Please note the date change, as Duncan mentioned previously, as well as our closing dates is September 22nd, and I do believe that we've had previous years where entries were done late, close to that closing date, and the system crashed because too many people were trying to enter last minute. So please try and do your entries early. I know everybody's got their cattle starting to get ready, so you know who's coming. Do your entries early. Do not wait to the last minute, please. Our annual wish list event continues its evolution. This past year was a huge success for breeders, consigners, buyers, and all those who attended. We are very excited to host this year and to see what it has in store. Please let us know if you're interested in being involved in our events and or sponsoring. The donation heifer this year is coming from us at Koziak Land and Cattle, and we are extremely proud of the work that the association is doing to promote Gelbviehs, and especially its juniors, and that is evident here this weekend. Best of luck to everyone remaining summer shows and on the fall run. I move my report as read. Yeah, we're going to skip to Cam if that's okay. Your report. Because you've got the junior report, so you can get going.
Perfect, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to everyone who could join us here in Stettler for our annual highly anticipated Canadian National Junior Gelbvieh Show. First and foremost, I would like to thank the entire Canadian Junior Gelbvieh Association and board for everything the crew has done to make sure this is such an enjoyable event. Thanks, Sarah, for everything you are doing in the office and arranging for this annual general meeting. For our 2026 show, we have 46 kids entered with 57 head of cattle showing. Overlooking the past year, I think we just have to appreciate the progress and ambition these upcoming juniors and that the quality of cattle is getting stronger and stronger each and every year. It's great to see these juniors out showing their cattle off at the show as well as other junior and open shows across Canada. As we reflect on the breed, it's been a wild, incredible ride seeing commercial cattle set records across North America. Demand for cattle is high, and seeing success in the commercial industry encourages demand and premium for high-quality registered cattle. It's been an absolutely exciting past year watching cattle prices being driven so far upwards. It was great having our board member Coulter Rebunik have the opportunity to be a part of
the American Junior Gelbvieh Show in June in Grand Island, Nebraska. He won Senior Aggregate Award last year, and traveling to this event was part of the prize. As we move throughout the summer and fall, it's important to get your cattle in and entered and ready for the show run. Lots of opportunities in these exciting times. Thanks to all of you for joining us here in Stettler for these fun times surrounded by Gelbvieh enthusiasts. We appreciate all your support and help in running this great event. See you all in Swift Current next year on July 22nd to 24th, 2027. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Cam. Move to the ManSAS report. I will read it for Kim. So it's been a great year as market prices continue to be high. The rain seems to be more widespread this year, so I hope everyone has a great hay crop for the year. As we prepare for another year, we would like to invite everyone to Agribition November 23rd to 28th. We'll have about 60 4-H kids receiving tokens this year. We have sponsored a few junior shows this past year and want to take the time to congratulate all the youth involved in promoting the Gelbvieh breed. We would like to thank Knowles and Dove Ranch for donating this year's donation heifer, so thank you, Ross, Terry, and family. We appreciate your support and are excited to see her. The donation heifer is the association's primary fundraiser, and having a heifer of such quality will help immediately with ticket sales. As we look forward to Agribition this year, we also want to remind everyone that the show relies on your sponsorship, big or small. Please reach out to any of our directors if you'd like to donate for this year's Agribition banners or prizes. My report is read.
All right, thank you for that one. Now we'll move on to new business. Does anybody have any new business to discuss? I will take that as no new business. I move to adjourn this meeting. Seconded by Joe. Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great rest of your afternoon. And I just got informed the show starts at 1:30 p.m. today.